Experience. Peace of mind.
Dear Shandy.
Welcome back to another Dear Shandy Love is Blind recap, listeners. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. Do we give overall thoughts anymore? Or are we just getting into
My
it?
overall thoughts are that it's getting better, as I suspected.
Yeah, and as people told us it would. It's getting better, but in a way that I'm not sure makes me feel
Good.
clean.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just get going with episode 4. Oh, and today, it'll be in the title, so anyone clicking on this will know, but we're covering Mexico.
Mexico.
Yes, because Andy, as you said, everything happens in Mexico, it would seem. So this episode kicks off with Nick and Vanessa Lachey earning their next paycheck. Once again, dream job. Can you imagine? They must be like, this is the best thing ever. They got so lucky.
They work like an hour a week.
The couples move into their resort and unpack. And a highlight here is Zach, speaking of the hammock, saying, we're 100% going to hang out on that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a
Good
big
talk.
That's a big statement.
Yeah. What's sad is like, it's the kind of thing that doesn't need to be said because obviously you'll hang out on the hammock. And I don't think they did hang out on the hammock.
Yeah. It was obvious and it didn't happen.
Yeah. Okay. So we see Micah and Paul. She's telling him that he isn't what she expected, but during this conversation, we were mostly distracted by their enunciation or lack therereof.
Yeah, you need subtitles.
We held out on getting subtitles at this point, and I think if we had gotten subtitles earlier, we would have known that it's Leanne Womack and not Wombat.
Although I stand, but yes, that was
It's
a problem.
my fault.
It's your fault.
But no, you know whose fault it was? It was Zach and Bliss because they both, according to my ears, and I have decent ears, and people did say, Shandy said that they listened without subtitles, closed their eyes, and they heard Wombat as well.
Yeah, Zach said Wombat.
I swear he did.
Yeah.
Okay, but you were saying?
Oh, I was saying it's your fault.
Yeah, we just couldn't understand a word these two were saying. Though their words are kind of like this, and there was vocal fry too, so it was kind of like.
Yeah, there's a lot of vocal fry.
And I mean, there was a moment where I was like, "Are they speaking English?"
You know what? It almost sounded like a duet of vocal fry. Like you've expected a conductor, like.
Mwah, 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 mwah. Mwah, 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 mwah. Okay, we see Chelsea and Kwame now. Kwame asks what she thought he would be, and she says he's exactly what she expected. And Kwame's like,
Are you sure? Maybe I'm worse than you expected. You should think about that.
Okay, so now Jackie and Marshall. Jackie confesses in her confessional that if she had seen Marshall on the apps, she would have swiped left. She says she normally goes for over 6'5" and covered in tattoos. And over dinner, though, he says she's exactly who he would typically go for. He asks if she wants to wait until after the altar for some fantasy sweet time. I actually wrote for FS. Like, I'm so used to recapping The Bachelor that having sex is just FS.
FS.
And she's like, why would I do that? Would you buy a car without driving it first?
I mean, I couldn't agree more.
I mean, we do agree with her. But I love how she was just like, why?
It's like speaking another language.
Yeah. Zach and Irina have dinner. He asks what cartoon character he reminds her of. And she says some kind of fictional character. And they talk about kids' names briefly here. That's what's funny. The two of them, like, I honestly feel like they're just on a different planet. Like, I don't think Zach looks like a cartoon character.
Well, these are two people who are not supposed to be together.
Yes.
It's like oil and water.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like they don't mix. So this is just going to be weird.
Until they finally just agree that it's not working. And let me tell you, when that finally does happen, it feels like such a relief.
You can sense their relief as
Yes.
well. It's like, they're like, thank God we're not doing this anymore.
Irina says he honors her boundaries and it's more like a team instead of being against each other. And he says, I'm so happy I found you. And she jokes, aren't you so lucky? That to me is getting really old.
Yeah.
The whole, aren't you so lucky? Like, you like me, don't you? It just seems like all a front for some deep insecurity that she has.
Yeah, her enjoyment of the fawning without her having any feelings is a little gross. And I don't like that.
I don't know if she actually is. I think that she's just saying that as like a defense.
Oh,
in my
I see
opinion,
what
like
you
she's
mean.
trying to be funny, but it's just so painfully not funny.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. That's probably what's happening. But it's not the way to do this.
No, it's not. If we are to imagine that he really is into her, like, that's just nasty.
It is.
To be like, you're so lucky, aren't you? Even if it's joking. You can only get away with joking about that once.
Well, I think that Zach is really good at taking abuse. A lot of guys would have been fed up at this point.
Yes.
Like she's just able to dish it out and he takes it all.
He's too good at it, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so now Tiffany and Brett, she's freaking out about what appears to be a baby raccoon, or maybe it's just a raccoon. It looked small.
I don't think that's a raccoon. That's a different kind of animal. I don't know what kind of animal it is. It's something else.
Okay.
A raccoon has the raccoon eyes. It
had-
had sort of like the head of like almost like a marmot. Is that what I'm thinking of? Is a marmot? I may be totally off.
I don't know.
base
I was
here.
thrown off by it's had a shorter, stubbier tail.
It's raccoon-like,
Yeah.
but I do not believe that's raccoon. Either way, that is a cute animal. No one
Very
should fear
cute.
that animal. That is a good animal.
Yeah, she said she's got a man who's going to protect her, and you were like, protect her? I want to cuddle with it. Brett talks about the energy he envisioned her having, and when he met her, she was that person. Oh, cute.
That's
They're cute. She's speechless. And he gifts her a swimsuit, which is also cute. And in her confessional, she says that he's perfect for her. And then they make out in the pool. So
I mean, this looks pretty rosy.
okay, so we're back to Zach and Irina. He mimes a kiss at her. He's like,
Yeah, super hot.
Andy, you called it a Woody Allen movie when he
It
does
is.
that.
There's a Woody Allen movie, Love and Death, where like she won't have sex with him. They're married,
Okay.
and she just won't have sex with him. And there's he keeps like sort of asking and trying. It's almost like a montage of him trying to have sex, and she won't.
Okay.
And then they're in bed, and there's this beautiful romantic bed with like, one of those beds with like the canopies on top of it. I don't know what they call those. And he like leans over to kiss her, and she's like, "No, not here."
And it was during this conversation that we had to turn on captions because we could not understand a word they were saying. She was saying crazy ball a few times, and I'm like, is that crazy ball? I'm confused.
Yeah.
Generally, it's her dodging him wanting to talk about them and her obvious disdain for him or her repulsion, really.
Yeah, but I think if she really didn't take some pleasure in this situation, she would have just been like, "Listen, this is not going to work."
Yes.
Like, just tell him. Like,
Yeah.
what is she waiting for?
Chelsea and Kwame now. She says, it's a full moon, babe. And Andy, you were not into this early use of babe.
Too early.
I agree.
I'm not a big baby. I like baby. Just go baby.
Well, no.
Babe feels short. You know what babe feels like? You're cheating them out of a full baby.
Oh.
Yeah, you're calling them a baby.
Yeah.
So why call it babe? That's like cheating.
Yeah. It's also just, I agree, it's too soon.
Too soon.
But I also feel like that is a sort of microcosm for these two in general, is her feeling like they're further along than they are and him meeting her there, like clearly lying to both her and himself because he just responds in kind whenever she's like, I love you. And he's like, I love you too. She's like, I'm so happy I found you. He's like, I'm so happy I found you too. It's like, dude, you do not need to, like, you're just digging yourself a grave here. In bed, she says she likes a full on cuddle. And if they separate in the night, she'll find him again. She has a baby blanket that she brought with her. It's 30 plus years old and named Baba.
That's cute.
Kwame laughs at this, and we agreed this was a cute
That's
scene.
really
This is
cute.
before things really went downhill.
Yeah. I used to have, I called my blanket Smelly Blanket.
Really?
It was just called Smelly. And it smelled like me. And it smelled, it smelled.
It smelled like you.
Yeah, it smelled like not great, but it smelled like a person.
Aw.
And I called it Smelly Blanket. And I had it till I was like 12.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
She says she can retire Baba, and Kwame says they can keep Baba around. And she says, I love you so much. She seems very touched by the fact that he's like, no, don't retire your 30 plus year old blankie. It's like, what's he supposed to say? Okay, there's a montage of Jackie and Marshall and Tiffany and Brett hooking up here with Brett. They're in bed. He's like, get on top of me.
Damn, that was hot.
And there is some ass
Yeah,
grabbing.
I was like,
I was almost clutching my pearls. I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
mean, I
wow,
just
we just
did.
don't see this. Oh, was that
was a
pearls?
pearl clutching move. Is there a better way for me to do that?
You know, the problem with your pearl clutching miming is that pearls generally are on the shorter.
Oh, so they're up here?
And yeah, like,
so how do I clutch?
like, yeah, you can get a long string of pearls, but that's more of a fashion choice. If you think of the classic string of pearls that someone who would clutch their pearls would be wearing in the first place,
Okay.
it tends to be a shorter.
So how do I clutch my pearls?
I don't know, just
this?
higher.
Is
Yeah,
this
sure,
good?
sure.
Is this like,
Sure.
and why are you clutching pearls in the first place? How did that come about? What is that? Why?
I don't know. I love that expression though.
Is it like a Rodney Dangerfield where he's like pulling his collar? He's like, oh, I get no respect. Or is it more like
I think it's more like a verbal expression. I don't know if you really need to mime it.
But what does it mean? It has to mean something. You know what I think it is? I think that they're in a situation, I think it kind of got a little bastardized over the years, but I think the original was they're in a situation where they feel uncomfortable with the people they're around and they think someone's going to steal their pearls.
Oh.
So they clutch them to prevent someone from grabbing their pearls.
You know who's going to fill us in.
Here's your opening, guys.
We just use them now. Okay, so now it's the next day. Chelsea says it was the best night ever. They made love. It exceeded all expectations. It sets the tone for the rest of their lives. Yeah. Now we see Irina and Zach. There's a selfie video of Zach saying last night they talked about how Irina looks better with makeup on. I mean, off.
I was like, whoa. Oh, okay.
Zach says it feels like they went from 0 to back to where they were before they got engaged. And she's like, well, I'm not quite comfortable with him yet. He mimes another kiss. And then we move on to Tiffany and Brett. They're very lovey-dovey. They just seem happy. Also, she says that he doesn't snore. So score.
Wow. I mean, that's big. It sounds funny, but that's
they made it
deal.
Sound like it was a joke, but actually...
Big lifestyle change.
Yeah. When I discovered you snored, I was like...
Yeah.
It was a real, like, knock against you.
Well, otherwise I'd be just too perfect. Yeah.
Micah and Paul now, he says he wanted to have sex, but is happy they didn't. And in his confessional, he says he typically goes for more granola, kombucha-like girls. He said the girls were always like brewing things. I thought that was kind of funny.
That was funny.
And girls who also dress that part too.
Right.
So she's definitely more girly.
Or less
princessy
less hippy-dippy.
Yeah, less hippy-dippy, which we see some of later on in episode 5. I liked how this was sort of like foreshadowing for that. Okay, now during a montage of day activities, Andy, you said, Jesus, this music is terrible. Who would ever listen to this stuff? And I have to point out that a Shandy DM'd us after last week saying that they have a cousin who works in LA as a composer for shows like this. And what happens is that these shows request tunes like, you know, like some hot single at the moment or whatever.
Yeah, the hot joint. A hot joint. Is that right? That's right. I think that's right.
So they might request like, oh, I want it to sound like Billie Eilish or this like top number right now that they can't afford to get the rights to. So then this team of composers will write something that sounds like a knockoff basically and then use it in the show.
All right. So now with that knowledge, I will say that I'm mildly impressed. I mean, they have to do this fast. It's not like they have years to write these songs.
I feel better about dissing it actually because now I know that it's meant to sound like a knockoff. Like it cannot sound too similar.
No.
Or else you get in trouble.
It's what they have is a difficult job. They basically are tasked to make bad music, but original bad music based on a song that's similar. That's not easy.
No.
I'm going to give them credit here.
Yeah.
I will say though that I think ChatGPT probably could do a slightly better job.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
AI scares me. I'm one of those people. I'm in the camp of
You're one of those people? You're just like one of the 7 people is scared by AI.
I mean, though, like I know there are people who are like, we should see what we're capable of creating. No. I am not one of those people. We do not need this.
I agree. And sometimes I feel old when I start talking this stuff, but then like you're like, oh, but then the telephone came around. People are like, oh, this telephone's going to destroy the
when
world.
TVs first came around, people were very upset.
I mean, they were kind of right about that in some ways, but
I agree.
Maybe not. But this is different. I'm going to say it. Sounds like an old guy, but this is different.
I agree. We're 2 out of the 7. We see a scene here where Paul massages Micah and she says it's part of the husband application. I love this because it was kind of a callback to our relationship. Not that anyone would know this, but early in our relationship, I would sit in front of the sofa and you would massage my shoulders and you were so good at it that it kind of negated the snoring, if I'm honest.
Why is this all in the past tense?
Okay, Jackie and Marshall now, they drive into town. They get a meal, an actual meal with eating at a restaurant. Jackie says she's not worried about Marshall so much as she's worried about herself, about going home and flipping like a switch. And Andy, you were like, oh. Marshall says, remember what you always used to tell me. Give yourself grace. And Andy, you were like, used to tell me. It is funny.
Yeah, back in Wednesday.
Marshall says he's been the guy who walks away when things got hard, but he's not going to do that again. I mean, this is all foreshadowing for him, really living up to this. But gosh, Marshall's eyes.
Yeah, he's got good eyes.
Like when they're at this restaurant and the sun is shining on him, like his eyes are always amazing. But with the sun on them, I was like, it took my breath away.
Yeah.
Also, he's apparently Justin Glaze's cousin from The Bachelor.
We're a fan.
Yeah.
We like Justin.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Andy. It's a big day. Because we are advertising something that I have been wanting to advertise for honestly years.
This is true. She's talked about this.
And I held out. We've gotten other offers for other brands, and I was holding out because I was like, no, I want to advertise Skims. Because I actually love Skims. I own countless pieces of Skims items, underwear and clothing, and I wanted to wait. And you know what?
This day has come.
So this is the Fits Everybody bra, okay? And now I know it looks like a regular shelf bra. You're like, okay, it's a cute color.
I think that's a step above. It's cute.
So the fabric, okay, buttery soft, stretches like crazy. It stretches to twice its size.
Wow.
But before Skims, I had all these different shelf bras, little bras that I would wear around the house. I would never wear them out because they had almost no support, pretty much. They would always stretch out like instantly. This is very common. And Skims, the support, first of all, you would never expect this to have support, but it really does. The fabric like hugs you, shapes to you, and like holds you up, holds your girls up. It's also super comfortable. It doesn't stretch out. And best of all is that you can actually, because there's support, I wear these out all the time, especially in the summer.
And I'm going to add the one thing that I can add here. You look good in those.
Oh, thanks. So literally, I was first put on to Skims by a friend of mine. I was FaceTiming her and I was like, that's a cute top you've got on. And she was like, oh, it's a bodysuit and it's Skims. It's Kim Kardashian's brand. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, if I'm honest, like I'm neither here nor there on their Kardashians. I would never buy a product because it's Kim Kardashian's brand, but I also wouldn't not buy it because it's her brand. Right. And my friend was like, you should really try it. It's amazing. So I tried one of these bras and it changed my life. I instantly donated all of my lounge bras and bought this I now have like 8 colors and I have matching sets with the panties. So I have matching sets like this in like 8 different colors. And you know, they have over 90,000 5-star reviews. 90,000. Let your mind wrap around that for a second.
I think that might be a record. I know that maybe you won't believe me. I have heard about Skims way before they approached us. She's told me about Skims. I got to be totally honest. I may have shut my ears off for these conversations. It may have happened.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited that they finally advertise on podcasts because I've been looking forward to this day.
I mean, you're glowing.
I am glowing.
So Skims is a solution-oriented brand creating the next generation of underwear, loungewear, and shapewear for every body.
Skims Fits Everybody and other best-selling essentials are available now at skims.com.
Plus, get free shipping on orders over $75, all at skims.com.
So, Andy, I like to think that we're on the cutting edge of brands.
Mm-hmm. I also like to think this.
I don't know if that's true or not, but let me tell you, we've been using Factor for many, many moons now. We're big Factor fans. They deliver food directly to your door. It's never frozen. It's delicious. It's sort of like having a private chef. The food stays in your fridge and you just heat it up, put it on the stove, put it in the oven when you are hungry. You do not need to cook. How nice. But I swear Factor has blown up since we first became customers.
I have seen, and I'm not necessarily taking credit for this, I've seen 2 Factor boxes that weren't ours in the lobby of our 12-unit building.
Yes. When we came home and we assumed that at least one of the Factor boxes was for us because we were anticipating a box of Factor. And we were like, 2 other units in this building.
They're 25% of our building, at the very least, is ordering Factor.
Yes. And also the other day, I was just walking down the street and I saw someone walking down the street holding a box of Factor.
So are we taking credit for everyone? I'm okay with that if you want to go there.
So again, Factor ready-to-eat meals delivered to your door. They are never frozen. And you can also specify if you have dietary restrictions, if you're watching what you eat, you can do calorie conscious, you can do keto, you can do vegetarian.
And the cherry on top is they are a sustainable option. They offset 100% of their delivery emissions.
And source 100% renewable electricity for their production sites.
So head to factormeals.com/Shandy50 and use code Shandy50 to save 50% off your first box.
Again, that's code Shandy50, Shandy50 at Factor Meals, FACTORMEALS.com/Shandy50 to get 50% off your first box. Okay, so now Irina and Zach, he's singing and she's like, is that going to be a thing?
I mean, I have to side with Irina on this one. That can't be a thing.
He jokes about this pretty well. He's really good at taking it and laughing at himself.
He takes it. He's a punching bag.
Yeah.
And Irina is someone who really wants to work out for a long time on that bag.
Irina says she normally wouldn't say this because of her ego, but sometimes she looks at him and is like, wait, he's so cute. She says this to him.
Yeah.
It's so funny. She gives herself away in so many little ways. She normally wouldn't say this because of her ego. Why does it cost her ego to tell him that he looks so cute? So now it's the evening and we see Jackie and Marshall. Things are less funny now. Back at the hotel, Jackie is sort of crying. She's sniffly. She's very distant. She has a confessional here where she says she's afraid she'll lose Marshall and push him away. And she proceeds to do just that, actually.
Yeah.
He's there for her. He gives her a vitamin, asks if she wants water. And she's like, I need time. I need space. And then she starts sobbing and then he'll come back and hold her. It's really kind of heartbreaking because then he'll be there for her and then she'll be cold again.
I kind of feel like, and I believe that what she was upset about is real.
Yeah.
Clearly, this is this thing that she lives with. It's painful.
Yeah, home. She's talking about
omnipresent.
home.
Yeah. Home is a problem. I do feel like she was testing him, not in a weird manipulative way, but I do feel like she was like, can he handle this situation I have? If I press him, like, how is he going to react? Is he going to comfort me? Is he going to flip out? Is he going to run away? I do believe even if she was consciously or unconsciously doing that, I think that's what was happening. But I do believe that she has serious, very painful problems at home.
Yeah, I believe that too. I also think that she, as we saw, she really swings. There's a real emotional swing happening. And I mean, I think we've all been there to some degree, but one thing I don't relate to her on, but I think a lot of people probably can, is what's obviously self-sabotage. Like she's afraid of losing him and of pushing him away, and then she does exactly that.
Yeah.
But Marshall, my goodness, what a prince he is. He is there for her, holds her. What I like is that he does let her have her space until he thinks that she's ready to be comforted.
Yeah.
And so she's hiding in the bathroom, and then when the second the door opens, he goes in there and like holds her and is like, I know.
He's doing everything right.
Oh my goodness.
And he never, the flip out switch is never even at 1.
No.
It's always just like calm, collected, like concerned.
It's sheer concern for her.
No self-pity.
None. He never makes it about himself. He never gets defensive about her lashing out at him. He's just like, how can I make this better for you?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Okay, so now Zach and Irina.
Oh dear.
She jokes that he should sleep outside.
I mean, it actually, I'll give Irina credit. It's just funny if you let it be funny.
Yeah, it made me uncomfortable because I just think, like you said, human punching bag.
It's the epitome of kicking a man when he's down.
Yes.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel. There's a million analogies for this. It's too easy.
Yeah.
It's the lowest hanging fruit. It's fruit that's literally on the ground and you literally just like, you like put your mouth out and you're just like, you don't even have to move your neck that much.
And it's like the more he takes it, the more she does it.
Yeah. And he laughs. He loves it. Just
he's a great example of like, this happens in life.
Yeah.
And I will admit that in relationships where I felt there was such a power imbalance, like maybe a guy that I didn't really feel like I wanted to be boyfriend, girlfriend with, but I liked to keep him around. I wasn't really sure. Yeah. And the second that he got fed up and didn't put up with it anymore, he suddenly became a whole lot more attractive.
Yeah.
You know, like it pays to have a backbone. And I think we see that towards the end of Mexico here as he's sort of like, wait a minute.
Yeah, he never ever stood up for himself
until
the whole time until the very end.
Yeah. He touches her finger and she says, that's too intimate. So he addresses the intimacy directly here and she says, normally that's not an issue for her. And he says in the pods, she was very affectionate.
Great.
I didn't realize how funny that was until you laughed. He says he thinks she's already decided it's not going to work. And she says, and this to me is huge, she says maybe she's insecure about her appearance and that maybe it'll just take time. I actually think this is it.
Yeah.
Because I think Irina does not have insecurity about her personality, but she does about her looks. She expressed, having scars. She had really bad acne. She used to be bullied for it. Yeah. She has some sort of deep insecurity about this. And I think that when someone doesn't see her right off the bat and then get to know her, like, I think that she wants to know that immediately she's been vetted for her looks, based on her looks. They approve her looks, and then they can get to know her.
Right.
I don't think she likes this backwards arrangement.
I agree. I also think that she has a huge wall up.
Yes.
And it's just everything she does is based on that wall. And I understand. She went through a hard time.
Yeah. He says in the pods she hated not being in control. He thinks the power dynamic in a relationship is important to her. And she takes issue with this somehow, even though it's obviously true. And I do not understand why it seems to be women on this show who have some issue with Zach.
I don't get it. I think that Irina has made Zach look bad. Look, is Zach a little off?
He's
like
quirky.
Maybe like one notch off? Yeah, but it's off in a good way. I like it.
I find
he's
him
a good-looking guy.
He's unbelievably good-looking.
Undeniably good-looking guy.
Yeah. What I took away from this whole conversation was how much he saw her. And instead, like, it pained me that she didn't see how he saw her. Like, he's pointing out all these things. He's very observant as to who she is. And it's like she's like, like, stay away from me. Anyway.
And what would the Zach who's welcomed with open arms by Irina be like? He wouldn't be as weird. He wouldn't be as awkward. He would probably look better just because of the way he's acting.
Oh, that's so true. Okay, Andy, here you said, speaking of power dynamics, the one relationship that doesn't have a serious power imbalance is Brett and Tiffany. The others are all 100 to 0.
100 to 0.
I agree with that. There's no gray area in the others.
And that never lasts.
No.
Never.
Or it shouldn't.
It shouldn't, and if it does, it's a problem.
Yeah. Okay, so now it's the next morning, and there's a montage of cute moments. Apparently, you need to lock the doors to keep out raccoons. I thought this was cute.
I would totally leave it open. I'd leave like a trail of breadcrumbs.
Up to your bed.
Yeah. And then it would come and I'd be like, oh, I knew you'd come.
Okay, so now Jackie and Marshall, this is the next day. She says she had a moment the night before. She says she does a lot for her family and doesn't get a lot of me time. She thanks him for being there for her. I just love it when people can take responsibility and own their bad behavior. And so this went a long way with me. He says she's a strong person, and if she has another moment like that, that's okay. And she says, no, it's not. And like how she treated him wasn't okay. And in her confessional, she says she knows he loves her. So Jackie's nice again.
Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Chelsea and Kwame now. He says he's nervous about going home, and she says that there's a lot they haven't faced. Kwame says there's a little curiosity about someone else there. Would she feel okay about him having a conversation with Micah? She takes this super well, in true Chelsea fashion, I would say. And she says that he's all she's ever wanted. He knows that, right? And he's like, you're all I've ever wanted too.
It's like a hostage.
I think that if she weren't like, I love you so much, you're all I've ever wanted, this, this sort of language, he wouldn't be saying it. No. That doesn't make it right that he's lying to her, but I think that he kind of feels the need to keep matching her there. And I also think he wants to feel that way about her.
Yeah, he really does.
Yeah, we're going to get into really criticizing Kwame soon, obviously.
I know, people are like, wait a minute, you're not criticizing Kwame yet. What's going on here? Don't worry, we'll criticize.
Yeah, we're getting there. Honestly, like, I appreciate that the Shandys chime in about this stuff, but at the same time, I kind of wish they hadn't explicitly been like, well, you're going to hate Kwame next week, because I would have liked to have been surprised. Like, it was a real spoiler for me. But it also clouds judgment.
Like, I'd rather just not know and not have any preconceived notions.
Yeah. So now it's the group meetup. My favorite was Jackie. So Brett comes out and Jackie's like, she lifts her sunglasses and she's like, he's kind of fine. And Marshall's like, I told you.
See, that's nice.
Isn't that cute?
Confidence.
I gotta say, what I'm gathering from Love is Blind so far, and maybe that's just this season, but I am way more touched by the male friendships than the female ones.
Oh, yeah.
Way more.
Yeah.
You get men like defending each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's no like testimonials where you notice that there's no testimonials in this show.
Well, I keep calling them
confessions about each other, but they don't talk shit about other people.
Well, they do in group settings, but it's usually the women. That's my point.
No, but I'm saying the place where the men in The Bachelor talk shit is in those testimonials where like they just let loose.
Yeah, and to be fair, their producers are encouraging them to do that.
Yeah.
I really do feel The Bachelor relies more on stoking artificial drama than here. Like what Love is Blind is showing is that it's going to happen.
You don't need to stoke.
You don't need to stoke.
No stoking needed.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like more about Love is Blind. Some things I like less, but I definitely
I agree.
like
The
this.
natural, like sort of in the wild, it's just more like just let nature take its course than, let's do a narrative.
Yeah, because the seed, the format of the show is going to make it happen anyway.
Yeah.
So just let it happen.
Yeah.
It's less intelligence insulting to me. Kwame in his confessional says that he's attracted to Micah. He's sorry. He's attracted to her. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Light the fireworks.
Kwame, Brett, and Marshall talk. Kwame calls it quite the experiment overall. It's weird being like, is that my fiance? Brett says it's super easy. Feels like he and Tiffany have been together for years.
Like rubbing it in.
Yeah. But even this shows a difference between, on this season anyway, this group of male friends. I like that Brett's like, oh, it's super easy for us. Because I actually think the women on this season would be more likely to be like, oh yeah, I understand. Yeah, it's hard for us too. And then behind their backs, they'd be like, wow, their relationship really sucks.
Yeah, no, it's very open and honest with the men.
Yeah.
I like that too. And even when later, well, we'll talk about this, but we probably won't, so I'll talk about it now. but when Kwame's getting a little ridiculous about situations that are happening, Brett pretty much side-eyes him right in front of him.
Right to his face.
Yeah.
Yes.
Totally. In a very honest way.
Yeah. Okay, Micah, Chelsea, and Tiffany talk. Micah says that she and Paul haven't done anything yet, and Chelsea's like, I'm wrecked. This is what I want for the rest of my life.
Just going to need a good doctor.
We learn Tiffany and Brett haven't had sex yet.
That's shocking.
Because I think she's on her period.
Oh, that's right.
There's just a lot of information.
Yeah, that's a very explicit.
Okay, so now the moment we've all been waiting for. Kwame and Micah talk. Micah says with Paul, it's hard putting a face to his voice, but with Kwame, his face fits her impression of him like a little glove. She's very flirty with him.
Yeah.
She says she still thinks about him. She hopes he's so happy. He laughs this off with, that's the most Micah thing ever. She says the breakup was a tough moment. It wasn't her saying she didn't want him. There's a very good chance she could have been with him until the end. She's trouble.
Yeah, trouble.
Micah says she wasn't close with Chelsea and knows that Chelsea can come off like a bit much. He laughs a little too knowingly at this, in my opinion. But she still thinks that Chelsea's genuine and that if he ever wants to talk, she's there. She thinks he's so great. He thinks she's so great too. And they hug. Wouldn't it be nice if that's where things ended?
Yeah.
Micah and Irina talk now. Irina says Zach is so not what she was expecting. Every time he touches her, it gives her major ick. Micah says that when she saw Paul, she thought, not my type. But in a confessional here, which I thought this was really interesting, I hope something comes of this. I'm not sure if anything will, but in her confessional, Irina says that Paul is actually super attractive to her and it made her realize what's missing with Zach. I think that's an interesting dynamic because of this mean girl friendship. The fact that Irina's like, oh, actually the one guy I do like is your guy.
Yeah.
And Micah doesn't even really like her guy, I don't think.
No.
We see Irina and Paul talking about making borscht now. And she is definitely flirty with him.
Oh, big
She's
time.
like a different person talking to him.
Yeah.
So next ensues a drunken mess. It begins with an innocent request for chips and guacamole and a request for some tequila shots, but it really just sort of spills everywhere and becomes a disaster.
What percentage of the time that someone starts hitting tequila shots does it end well? Like what percent? Like 25%? 5%?
I was going to say 5%.
It's varying degrees. I mean, I'm not saying it ends horribly every time someone drinks tequila.
Yeah.
But it rarely ends better. It's rarely that you drink a lot of tequila and then things like you act much better. Things go really well after that.
So true. Yeah. And I don't want to entirely blame alcohol.
No,
because
no,
as
no,
you
no.
always say, in vino veritas.
True.
But I do think that Kwame, Micah, and Irina are all wasted throughout this. So this culminates with Micah toasting with the tequila shots to a shot for a failed proposal. And Kwame is like, what?
Yeah.
He's really pissed about this.
Yeah.
He calls it a jab. I do think it was a jab.
It was definitely a jab. And it was intentional, I think.
Yeah.
She was trying to be funny, but also subconsciously, I think she was trying to like just.
I just think that you got to be careful with that when you're the one that ended it.
Yeah.
And she, she went from flirting with him. Like, I think that she instantly knew that she had power over him. He was still into her, and she still goes there. Like, Micah's just trouble.
Yeah, she is.
And I'm not excusing Kwame because he definitely lives up in a minute.
But
okay, so he pulls Micah aside now. This is where Kwame really starts to. He says it felt like a jab. She says she cares about him. She would never say something to hurt him. And he says he still cares about her. They both seem really wasted here. They keep coming closer and closer, but nothing's actually happening. They seem to sort of like touch each other and then pull away. And meanwhile, we see Chelsea eating her chips and guac. I'm not sure if Kwame ever brought them to her, but she found her chips and guac on her own. Herself. And someone asks how she is, and she tersely says, "I'm okay."
Not okay.
Micah says everything was genuine. This is to Kwame. She says she thought she'd met her husband. It was all absolutely genuine. She's egging him on so hard.
Yeah.
She says no matter what happens, she'll be there for him. She loves who he is as a person. And Andy, you said she's one of those people who goes on and on and on and on and never says anything. And the episode wraps with Micah saying, "I was all in with you. I was literally all in with you the whole time." And he's like, "Yeah." And Chelsea, meanwhile, is storming off. And that's the cliffhanger ending. Andy, you said the crime he's committing is being extremely rude to Chelsea.
Yeah, he's committed 2 crimes in my mind.
Okay.
Both, I think, are pretty bad. Mm-hmm. One is he was being extremely rude to Chelsea.
He acted like she never existed.
Yeah, it was real ungentlemanly behavior. Almost, if I could try to figure out a way to make him human.
Yeah.
It was almost like he was trying to sabotage Chelsea. He was like, this is the way I can end this without actually being a man and ending it with her.
Yeah.
Or actually doing it in a way where she'll get me off the show, like, which I don't know if I want either. But the other thing was he was very inappropriate with the way he reacted to her.
To
and
Micah's
look, Micah,
job.
It was 2 wrongs to make it right. But
yeah,
Micah was not.
It felt like an overreaction.
He was very drunk.
Yeah.
His eyes were practically rolling in the back of his head. But it was an overreaction to that comment. And I think it was inappropriate.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I didn't like it. I felt uncomfortable.
I didn't like
it.
That's the thing is people did say in the comments last week that alcohol does play a big part in all this.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's really uncomfortable. And this was the scene where we all saw it. And look, I get the drama of it. Like I get, okay, yeah, he was, Micah broke up with him. He never got to see her. And then she went off with someone else. He finally gets to see her. He's like, oh my God, I really liked her. But I, went with my second choice. I actually don't really vilify Kwame that much for going for his second choice. I actually think that that's very human. And I think a lot of people in this situation would do exactly what he did.
It's the way he did it.
Yes. It's the way things happen subsequently. That's the problem. I think a lot of people in his situation would be like, oh, I really liked Micah, but I also had a really strong connection with Chelsea. She's telling me how much she cares about me. I'm heartbroken by that. And like, oh, I think I really care about her too. Right. I think you start to get a little like messed up, but I completely agree. This is where he like kind of morphs into a bit of a monster. Like he's not a good drunk.
No.
In my opinion.
He should not drink heavily.
No.
He turns
at least
bad.
not tequila shots. Like, I don't know what he was drinking. It was such a bad look.
Yeah.
And she's like, literally that same morning, he's telling her that he loves her too. And if he didn't actually mean that, he was just responding to her in kind, then that's on him. Like, you were still lying.
He genuinely is stuck in the middle. Like and look, people blame him like, well, Chelsea was his second choice. This is a show.
Yeah.
You got to give him some benefit of the doubt. Like, what is he going to do? Be like, I'm leaving the show. This is the game. You have to accept the game.
Yeah.
Hate the player all you want, but accept the game. So
No, you hate the game.
Sorry, hate the game, right? Or hate the player. I don't care. Do whatever you want.
Like, Micah is 100% egging him on.
Totally. On top of the fact that
cruel.
he really liked her to begin with. And
she ended it with him.
And
she's like, yeah, I thought you were my husband.
Yes.
I thought we could have gone to the very end. He's like, what do I say to that?
And he's clearly physically attracted to her. Yeah. Otherwise, it would have died when he saw her.
Yes. Yeah. Ugh, okay.
So he's in a tough spot, but he didn't act well. But it's like there's nuance to this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to judge Kwame yet.
Okay.
But I'm definitely judging him more than I did.
Well,
the judging has begun.
Yeah. In our last recap, you called Kwame a lifeboat because he was one of the few people we really liked.
He's like he's like one of those life rafts that's been sitting around the dock for like 40 years. And it's kind of like a little porous. So you're like, wait, is this floating? Or I'm not sure what's going on here.
I feel like his place has been bumped by Marshall, who we've come to love over these episodes.
Yeah. Well, Brett's
always
Brett
top.
is like he's like the Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah. Okay, so we're on to episode 5 now, and it's the evening. Tiffany, Micah, and Jackie talk about Chelsea. And this is where we see another side of Jackie. Jackie, like miming talking to Chelsea, says, Micah doesn't want your man. If she did, she would have picked him.
Ooh.
Like suggesting that Chelsea's overreacting about Micah. We were kind of appalled at this side of Jackie.
Yeah.
In this episode, this is not a great showing for Jackie, in my opinion.
No.
She's kind of two-faced.
Yeah. She's
very
a little
abrasive.
mean.
Yes. They gossip about how much Irina hates Zach and how Bliss dodged a bullet.
Not nice. Not nice. That's a bullet. I mean, if that's a bullet, that's a rubber bullet at best.
Jackie says, I wouldn't hire him as my lawyer.
No,
that's
mean. Like now he's a bad lawyer.
I got to point out here, because Tiffany's involved in this conversation, but I was really like, whenever I see girls being mean together, I'm like, who's the ringleader and who's just along for the ride? In my opinion, Tiffany.
Along for the ride.
She's along for the ride. She
at
wasn't.
Best. I think she really, what she wanted to say was, guys, settle down.
Yeah,
but she didn't want to rock the boat
awkwardly, which in my eyes means I'm not totally comfortable with this conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm giving her too much the benefit of the doubt, but
maybe.
It didn't feel like she was the one being mean here. It felt like Micah and Jackie. It honestly feels like whoever Micah talks to.
Yeah, she brings out the worst in people.
Okay, so now Paul and Zach talk. They talk about their ladies and in general seem way more respectful talking about the women than the women are talking about the men. Although Zach claims Irina is hot and cold with him and that he's kissed her. Andy, you thought he was lying. You didn't think that they had kissed.
I think Zach, and look, I think a lot of guys have been in this position before.
Okay.
But guys sometimes lie about things they've done with women. It's just a thing.
Kissing is like that's.
Yeah, but this is a weird situation. Like everyone's like, God, you haven't kissed. Like think about it. Like if any guys like you haven't kissed the girl you're engaged to yet, like it'd be like a little weird. It'd be like a little embarrassing.
I don't know if he lied about this because we've seen a little bit of evidence to suggest that Irina she'll be like, my ego normally wouldn't let me say this, but I actually look at you and I think you're cute. Like I'm not saying that's really hot, but I do feel like he's confused, and maybe in his eyes, because he's looking at everything a little too optimistically, it comes off as hot cold to him when it's really just like cold,
it's
ice cold.
Yeah, it's like one of those faucets where you're like, is it getting warmer? Like I think like it's getting warmer once you're getting used to it being cold and you think it's getting warmer. I don't think he kissed her. I think he's lying. But I know that's not that important. I don't think it's not important. It's the whitest of all lies.
Yeah.
It's not like he's saying he had sex with her. He's saying he kissed her because he feels embarrassed. 60-40 he's lying. Whatever, who cares?
It comes down to how much are the cameras with them?
Don't you think the cameras would have caught a kiss?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is maybe she would have timed her kiss to not be when a camera was around. Like she just wanted to test the waters and then she was like, But it was enough for him to be like, oh, I got a kiss. All I'm saying is that I don't know if the cameras are with them 24/7. Like on The Bachelor, if a woman spends time with the Bachelor or a guy spends time with the Bachelorette or whatever, until you reach Fantasy Suites, a camera is always on. Right.
You can't escape.
Yeah, there's no escaping period. And so I just don't know. We don't know.
Maybe.
I think they would have shown it.
Like, he may have lied. Who cares? It's not a big deal. Even if he did, it's not the biggest deal in the world. I mean, I could understand why he's doing that.
Oh, to save face, really.
I would be embarrassed. Not embarrassed. I'm not saying he should be ashamed of himself. I'm saying I would be if I was on this show and everyone's like having sex, Jackie's getting wrecked. Like I would be a little embarrassed. I haven't kissed the girl yet.
Paul and Irina talk now. He asks if he's what she expected. She says he's cute. He's her type. Definitely flirty vibes here. Zach seems to be watching them and shaking his head. I mean, it's pretty rough too that
that's rough.
Paul's the guy he was just confiding in about this. But to Paul's credit, he was not egging this on.
No.
He wasn't flirting with her at all.
Nope.
In my opinion.
No, being friends.
I wrote here that this is also stupid. They all should have just met at a party. What we're learning is love is not blind.
It's not. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Is that the point of the show? Are we not seeing the point? Are the producers just like
they're like, is love blind?
Yeah. Wait, I'm making the wrong eye. I just realized winking my left eye is way harder than winking my right eye.
Because of your accident.
God.
Well, Well, no, because you had a car
I
accident,
had a bad car accident
in your teens,
Yeah.
and it really like
this eyelid was replaced.
Yeah.
I lost my eyelid.
Yeah.
It was like,
You
not,
had-
not the whole thing, just the inner, like there was a big chunk that was ripped out.
your eyelid had to be like reconstructed.
Yeah. So this eye doesn't work as
Okay,
well.
so you went. There we go. We got it. Chelsea and Kwame return to their room post pool party now.
Yeah.
So they're still wearing their outfits from the pool party. Andy, you were really bothered that they didn't show the initial reunion. In moments like this of extreme tension, I want to know who reached out to who first. Did he run after her? Did she run after him?
I was
What?
waiting for that like a cliffhanger. I was like, what's that first meeting going to be like?
Yeah.
And they didn't even show it.
No.
It was like, oh,
That was
that
disappointing.
happened.
She says he has to think about how his actions affect her. I mean, no one's disagreeing with this. I totally agree with her. It felt like he forgot she even existed. He says she should know there's serious reason and intent behind his actions. This is where Kwame lost me. I was like, dude.
No. Nope.
Just apologize.
Yep. This was an apology
Serious
situation.
reason and intent. Like, I'm sure he can't even remember exactly what happened because he was so wasted.
This is where Kwame goes off the rails because instead of just being upfront with her, he's now in the stringing along stage.
Yeah, and he goes into gaslighting territory.
He's fully gaslighting.
Yeah.
Fully.
I do love how Chelsea's like, no. She says they were laughing. The conversation didn't need to go on. Like, you know, his whole defense is she made this jab at me. I had to confront her about it. But that was honestly like a blip next to all the flirting that ensued afterwards. He says that he and Micah had no closure. It was over so suddenly. He just needed closure. And then she asks if they got closure that day. And he says, not fully.
He's like, I'll show you closure.
She has a big reaction to this, understandably. He says, never mind, I got enough. I'm good.
Yeah.
What's like, how, I don't understand how he thought he's almost too honest here. Like he's both lying and gaslighting her and then being too honest.
Yeah. He's
Not fully. I didn't fully get closure.
Yeah. I mean, I know exactly what full closure looks like. I mean, it's like
I missed your porn music.
Thank you. Oh, that's sweet.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. I think that Kwame actually does want to make it work with Chelsea.
I agree. I think he wants Chelsea. I just don't think she's his physical type.
Yeah. I don't think so either.
Also, not only physical type, I also think the dynamic, Micah's a lot more like, she plays a lot more of this like sort of game, the song and dance. Like she's like effusive, but then also pulls back. She gives him some, pulls back.
Is 100%. Chelsea's right there for you.
Yeah.
There's no question. I'm 100% here. We're going to the end together. There's no mystery.
She's kind of acting like they've already been together for a few years.
Well, she's calling him babe. And not like babe, like, I love you, babe. It's like, hey, babe. Babe, come over here, babe.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I never liked that.
Yeah. Well, you just don't like babe.
It's got to be baby. If you commit to baby, or else it's professional. It's a professional title. It's like Mr., Mrs., it's babe.
Well, I know what you mean.
I have no issue. I'm not judging people who call it. I'm not, this is not a judgment. This is an opinion that if you're going to go babe, go full baby.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like you're already using a pet name for each other. So now it's like you're trying to be cool. You have a cool pet name.
Yes.
It's like a socially acceptable, can say this in public pet name.
Well, the thing is,
because I wouldn't call you baby in public. You wouldn't call me when you're on the phone and you have to ask me something.
I call you Sharleen.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I'm yelling at you in a crowd. I'm like, baby. And like 5 women turn around like, oh no, I'm not the right baby.
But every couple has their own language.
I don't think that my opinion is universal, and I don't think that anyone should abide by my opinion. I'm just saying, if anyone wants to know what I think.
Well, they are listening to Dear Shandy.
Go full baby. Just go baby. Try it out. Try it out for size. See what happens.
Okay, so anyway, back to Chelsea and Kwame. It does feel like Chelsea is just like, it's we're good. We're getting married. I love you. I'm so happy I found you. I feel like they've skipped over what he really wants, which is that song and dance. He wants a game, it would seem. Like Micah's dangling a carrot, and he really is responding to that. Yeah. Plus, I do think that he's just more physically into Micah.
No question.
Yeah. So that helps.
I think that's
because love is not blind. That really is
imagine
helping.
that. I actually think that's the major thing. I think it's a physical thing.
Chelsea asks if he would rather be with Micah, and he says, no, no, no. He's right where he wants to be. He doesn't doubt that for a moment. He's officially entering lying territory. Yeah. And she's like, do, 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 do. Ultimately,
you didn't sing the music.
I sang it.
Yes. Dun, 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 dun.
No, but I sang the music that happens during the do, do, do. It's a different theme. It's not the main curve theme.
Is it never the main curve theme?
No,
when he does
it's do, do, do.
We'll sing the whole thing. You didn't commit to it.
I'm not really sure what happens after that part. Do, 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 do.
Do, 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 do.
Yeah, you're right. It kind of like tinkles off and maybe modulates or something, but it's hard to sing.
Yeah, yeah.
I did it right.
You don't want to sample it? Do it.
Okay.
Okay,
go
ready?
for it. Okay, good. But ultimately, Chelsea says to let it go, walk away, and into the life he's going to have.
He's just like,
yeah, I kind of wished Chelsea had leaned a little bit more into what I believe was her gut here. She was believing what he was telling her as opposed to her intuition. To me, it feels like they're both in states of denial. She's in denial over what's obviously happening in front of her.
But the problem is also
and
you don't say
too.
that to someone who's on the fence. First of all, I think Chelsea needs to be more confident in herself.
Yes.
And I think that to say, like, just deal with it, this is what you're going to get for the rest of your life, is not the thing you say to someone who's clearly struggling.
Yeah.
You don't.
No.
You just sort of lay back and just be confident in yourself, be confident it's going to work. And if it doesn't work, just be like, this wasn't meant to be.
No, I know what you mean. I think that, and look, Kwame is clearly the bad guy here. We're not criticizing anything, Chelsea.
No
it's
question.
just, I agree. I think that Chelsea would have benefited from backing off, actually, because it would have made him more so realize what he could be losing. And if he was okay with losing her, then that's all the information you need.
Hold on loosely.
Hold on loosely. Exactly. Okay, so now it's the next day. Jackie and Marshall are eating in the pool. And when I say in the pool, I mean in the pool.
Yeah.
The food is brought to them on a floaty thing. I don't understand this. This didn't look good to me.
This is another thing where I'm not judging, but I think I'm in the wrong. I don't appreciate water activities that can be done on dry land. I don't like being in the water to do other things.
Okay.
I like being in the ocean. I like in the ocean, the waves. It's kind of cool. Like, you like, it's a little more exciting. Yeah, thanks. Good work. But in a pool to me is just a big bathtub. And like, if you're having a bath, would you like to have lunch served to you in the bath while you're bathing? I wouldn't.
I just picture myself getting really wrinkly.
Yeah, you're just sitting in
like
water.
Pruny.
Yeah, I like to be just sitting at a table having lunch. I've never, and I'm not saying, there's not like some old guy thing. Like when I was a kid, I didn't like it.
Yeah, they're not even sitting, by the way. They're standing.
Standing, eating in a pool. What's fun about that? Why is that fun?
It's just novelty. To me, that really screams like, I picture like a sandals commercial. Like it's something. It's like, I'm on vacation. I'm going to do that thing where you eat in a pool.
I think a lot of people do vacation things because they've seen people do vacation things.
Yes.
I'm not sure there's any aesthetic quality to eating lunch in a pool.
I mean, at least you don't need a napkin.
That's true. Yeah. The whole area around you is just like a big grease slick. So Sharleen, I have been purchasing glasses for the better part of my life. Not just my adult life, my whole life.
And contacts. Endless. It's an endless supply of contacts. I feel like there's always stuff for your eyes coming to the house.
Always. Yeah, eyes is a problem. You got to see things. And I have always been amazed by, number one, how unbelievably expensive a pair of eyeglasses is. And also how difficult it is to find a style you like.
So the time we've ever gone glasses shopping together, this was actually early in our relationship. I don't think Warby Parker existed yet, or if it did, we didn't know about it. Yeah. And we must have gone to like 5 different stores. And in the end, we ended up just replacing the lenses of the old ones because it was so hard to find a pair that suited your face, that, fit your face. I really love how Warby Parker has glasses for different face widths. They have like regular, they have wide, they have narrow. And it's really a one-stop shop because the selection at those other stores is hit or miss. Like you can go in a store and look at 100 pair of glasses and be like, yeah, maybe I'd consider that one pair. When I go to Warby, I like wish I wore glasses. I'm like in the state where I'm considering fashion specs. Their glasses are so cute.
You can't, I won't let it happen. And it starts at $95, including prescription lenses.
Yeah, that's
which
the
is
craziest.
nuts.
Yeah,
I mean, anyone
it's
who wears
insane.
glasses knows this is nuts. I'm
Yeah.
not just saying that.
They also reward you when you buy in bulk. So if you buy 2 or more pairs of prescription glasses or sunglasses, you'll get 15% off their already very reasonable price. And they have over 190 retail locations in the US. That's a lot of locations.
And then there's the free home try-on program.
Yeah, I honestly think this is Warby Parker's
That's their thing.
their claim to fame.
Yeah.
Because this is pretty unique.
Mhm.
You go online and you find 5 pairs of glasses or sunglasses or a mix of both that you are interested in trying on. Those get shipped to your door. It's free from beginning to end. And then you just keep the ones you like and send back the ones you don't. And they even give you a free prepaid label to ship it back with.
And coming from somebody who's done it before, it's much less painful. So try 5 pairs of glasses at home for free at warbyparker.com/Shandy.
Again, that's Warby Parker, WARBYPARKER.com/Shandy to try 5 pairs of glasses and or sunglasses at home for free. So Andy, I spent quite a while at the dentist yesterday.
You did.
I did.
Quite a while.
I was there for a while. But you know who reminded me to go to the dentist? ZocDoc gets full credit. They're the ones that remind me. They're like, hey, it's been a year since your last dentist appointment.
Wow, they may have saved your tooth.
I find adulting a little much sometimes. There's a lot of appointments. You need to keep track of your eyes, your teeth, your overall health, your skin. It's nice to have a place to go where they're like, hey, your last appointment was X number of months ago. You're overdue.
When I was a kid, there were a lot of things, when I was a little kid, a lot of things I was like, how do adults do that? It seems so complicated. Like getting on a plane and getting somewhere. I was just like, how am I going to ever figure that out? It seems crazy. Medicine, going to a doctor's, I was like, oh, I'm never going to figure that out.
Yeah.
And I was right. I still haven't figured it out.
Yes.
But ZocDoc is the savior. They actually hold my hand through a process that no one understands.
And let's be honest, ZocDoc's not just a dashboard. It's an entire search engine for doctors, dentists who A, are in your area, B, who accept your insurance. This is huge. You can literally filter in ZocDoc based on which doctors accept your insurance. And then third from there is you can see reviews, because ZocDoc is its own platform with its own reviews. And ZocDoc is established. So we're talking hundreds, if not thousands of reviews from other patients like yourself who maybe loved that doctor, maybe didn't like that doctor, maybe they didn't like their bedside manner. This is all good stuff to know. Finally, fourth, and this is up there for me, it's possibly my favorite thing of all, is that you can book your appointment with that doctor within ZocDoc. So ZocDoc is the only free app that lets you find and book doctors who are patient reviewed, take your insurance, are available when you need them, and treat almost every condition under the sun.
Go to ZocDoc.com/Shandy and download the ZocDoc app for free.
Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours.
That's ZocDoc.com/Shandy. ZocDoc.com/Shandy.
Okay, so Jackie calls Zach a weirdo now.
Yeah.
And she says, stay away from me.
Aw, really?
Jackie.
Come on.
In her
that's not
confessional,
nice.
she calls Irina a peasant. And not like an old-timey peasant.
I like the way she clarifies. You're not an old-timey peasant. Oh, that's fine.
I'm insulting her in a different way.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant an old-timey peasant. Oh, no, that's okay.
She calls Irina a weirdo who does weird shit for no reason. She asks what he thought of people's looks, and Marshall says everyone is beautiful in their own way.
No.
And she almost seems disappointed
Yeah.
at his lack of...
Dissing.
Yes. But then he says, but he got the best one.
Okay.
And this
he
pleases
answered
her.
that well.
Later on, she calls him her tonto, aka her dumbass.
Yeah.
And he makes Mexico fun. I find Jackie very abrasive. I know she's trying to be funny, and sometimes maybe she is funny, but she's not funny enough to make up for how mean she is.
Can I be honest? There are a lot of things about Jackie I like, but the thought of dating Jackie to me is pure anxiety.
It does sound stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nonstop. You're always worried. You're always a little stressed out. You can never fully just let go. I feel it just is not a good time.
Funny because when they were in the pods, I thought she was very nurturing. When Marshall,
Totally
opened up
different
about
person.
how he was raised by his dad.
Yeah.
She was so calming and nurturing and very sweet and everything. It kind of is a little all over the place. I'm still trying to figure her out.
Well, it's, always beware when someone becomes more relaxed, their true nature often comes out. And I think she's more relaxed now. And I think she's a little bit tough. She's not It's not an easy ride with Jackie.
While they splash in the pool, there is terrible music playing with lyrics that literally go, "Everything's better with you around." I wrote, it sounds like a souped up version of one of Andy's on the spot jingles. Like everything.
Oh, if you gave me, like, you just put me in a studio and you just gave me like a guy who like does like.
Go, everything's better with you around.
Everything's better with you around.
That's actually every bit as good as this song.
I think so.
Okay, so now Tiffany and Brett. We learned that they've, quote, taken their intimacy to the next level, and it was good.
I believe it.
These two.
What's wrong with them? I mean, everything seems perfect.
Even this conversation, which, okay, you know that there's so much more advanced when their conversations start being about other things and not just like us. Mm-hmm. She describes being 36 and felt this bit of insecurity and felt weird about feeling the need to defend herself. She's like, being 36, like, I still like to have a good time. I still like to go out. I still want to hang out with my friends. I know what she means. Like, as a woman at that age, I'm just like, it's amazing to me how, depending on who you talk to, it's like, oh, 36, like you've got one foot in the grave.
Yeah, right.
I love how she talked about this. She's like, I don't know why I felt the need to defend myself. I'm 36 and I have a great life and I like to do fun things.
Ridiculous. And you know what? I think it shows the age specifically is showing here.
Oh my God, such a good point. Brett is 35, she's 36. Can we just talk about that for a second?
The elder statesmen are somehow in by far the best relationship.
Yeah. No drama.
No drama.
No talking shit.
Clarity. No meanness.
Yeah.
No games.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
It's very validating.
It's super validating. Yeah.
Not to make it about us.
No. Old people. Old people.
Wisdom.
Yeah.
He says
experience. Peace of mind.
He says his friends are going to say, Brett, you hit the jackpot. Oh,
you did.
In general, they're adorable and really show how uncomplicated it should be.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Simple. Ease.
When you're confused, it's a bad sign.
Yeah. Should be working too hard.
Okay, so Micah and Paul now, they go buggying and we learn that he loves his plants.
Oh.
And she calls him dorky for this. I agree.
Why?
I agree.
That's not.
They just don't really seem like two peas in a pod, these two. They come to a cenote and observe catfish down below. She finds them scary. She's like, oh, I don't want them to touch me. The gist throughout this scene is basically he's way more outdoorsy and seems to appreciate the smaller things or like more, nature more than her. And now it makes sense that he typically goes for granola girls. It made me a little sad. I felt like what they were doing was so cool. Yeah. And she was more focused on like, are there bugs in here? She said that at one point. And look, I'm not on my high horse because I feel like I'm somewhere in between.
I respect that some people are a little grossed out by, animals and bugs and fish, but it's just,
I will say you have made me more outdoorsy.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, you've turned me into more of a country mouse.
Good. And I'm not judging her. It's just that it's sad that he's with someone who can't appreciate the things
I'm not criticizing her. I'm sad about the fact that he doesn't get someone who can who can want to touch the catfish.
And from experience, I can tell you that is not a good feeling. Like the feeling of like being awed by nature or fascinated by nature and having your partner be like gross. Yeah. Like I'm not into that is a very, very disconcerting.
Yeah. Chelsea and Kwame now. They're at a cacao ceremony and basically hug while a terrible ballad drowns out the drums in the background, I wrote. They agree this is a beautiful blessing for their relationship, this cacao ceremony.
Yeah, good cacao. Everyone needs that.
He says he woke up feeling not great. He could have handled the situation better. He's sorry he was really selfish. I appreciated this.
Yeah.
She says she forgave him already and they agree that they can move on.
Okay, fine.
It somehow doesn't feel like the end of that.
No.
Zach and Irina now. In her confessional, she says having a conversation with Paul makes her realize what is missing. He says he loves her but can't get her to invest. She literally puts a pillow over her head here, but tells him to keep going.
It's one thing if Zach's kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh, this is good. It's a tit for tat. But there's no tat, just tit.
In Irina's case.
No pun intended.
Okay, so now it is the evening. It's a party. Another party. Sounds fun, doesn't it?
Oh, everything's going to be good.
Jackie reports to the ladies that she and Marshall sealed the deal. She says, I'm sore. Brett with Kwame and Marshall. Now, Brett talks about how his family never uses the L word. He doesn't want to carry that on. He never wants Tiffany to wonder how he feels about her. And Marshall says, not a lot of guys who look like us talk about this stuff. We've got to set an example.
This was heartwarming.
So sweet.
Yeah.
I'm honestly, that's left me speechless. I just thought it was so sweet.
It was a beautiful thing.
Paul and Micah arrive at the party now. Chelsea says to Tiffany and Jackie that she's pretty sure it's squashed between Micah and Kwame. And the ladies refer to Irina and Micah as Frick and Frack. I'm just struck by how much, I mean, it's really Tiffany and Jackie in the middle, but it's really Jackie who seems to be spearheading this.
Yeah.
Like, she's really playing both sides.
Yeah.
If this were Survivor, not to bring up Survivor again.
Yeah, she'd be playing well.
Oh, yeah. She would be like part of two alliances. Both alliances would think that she was really all in with them.
Yep.
Paul and Zach now. Paul asks if Zach could go for someone else, but Zach says Bliss deserves someone who chooses her. Paul says he still wonders about Amber. Brett and Kwame and Marshall now. Kwame's talking about the Mike at Chelsea situation and says, I should have spent that time with Chelsea. So, I mean,
yeah, he recognizes it.
Yeah, I think
Sober Kwame.
Sober Kwame.
Yeah, I mean, he knows what's going on.
I also think Sober Kwame lies to himself.
Yes, I agree.
He seems to feel like the victim with the way Micah sugar-coated her words. And he says, I feel like I wasn't as angry as I should have been.
Whoa.
Andy, you said, Jesus, how angry did he want to be?
Yeah, he was plenty angry.
Yeah, it felt already like an overreaction.
Yeah.
He says something about being the company you keep, and Micah hangs out with Irina, so that's where he fucked up. So I guess the gist here is that Irina's bad news and Micah, like, she's a bad influence.
Yeah, wow, that's a real diss on Irina.
It is.
Like, just the association is bad enough for him to let go.
Yeah, but interestingly, I actually think Micah is kind of...
In a way, yeah. I think Micah might be. She's sort of more of the devil in sheep's clothing.
Yes, she seems sweet.
Yeah.
Brett holds him to this, says that he didn't need to focus on that at all. Oh, Brett.
Brett.
He's the best.
For now.
Oh, no.
I don't know.
Brett can't. No.
Is it possible that Brett goes downhill?
No, it's not possible. I refuse to accept this possibility.
I agree.
Micah and Irina now talk. Micah says that she feels like things are weird with Chelsea. Huh? How is that possible? In her confessional, she says she feels like he's keeping his distance and she respects that, but she wants to clear the air with Chelsea. Micah is really, you're right. She's a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
So now she asks to speak with Chelsea and says that she was shocked by how triggered Kwame was by her innocent joke. Chelsea seems to semi-confide in her. And in this moment, we saw that they really have lived together, probably longer. Like, they've spent more time together, even if they weren't close. Yep. It was amazing to me how quickly Micah was ready to talk shit about Kwame to Chelsea. I mean, it's a talent almost.
Yeah.
Like, I can't keep track of Micah. She's trouble.
She's a good shit talker. And by that, I mean, she gets away with a lot of shit talking, but she's able to sort of disguise it.
Yes, totally. And
so
she also is better at reading her audience than some other people.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't go too far with Chelsea. Actually, Rain comes along and kind of stops this conversation. But I think that she was like kind of just feeling, she was poking and feeling to see how much Chelsea was willing to open up to her. And then she kept meeting her there and like kind of egging her on. So now Micah and Paul chat in the room. He discloses that he and Zach talked about Bliss. And Micah has an annoying reaction to this. Like, she almost seems offended on Irina's behalf that Zach might even be thinking about Bliss at all, even though she knows very well that Irina has zero interest in Zach and has in fact said that Zach gives her the ick. I guess she's just being like a girlfriend, but so many things about Micah are just like,
there's a lot of problems.
I really know I feel like I know the kind of person she is based on this showing.
Yeah, but she hides it with some sweetness.
Well, that's part of the problem. I would much rather someone who's just a wolf.
Yeah. Jackie's more of just a wolf.
Yeah, I can handle a wolf. In real life, I can handle a wolf. I have a much harder time with wolves in sheep's clothing.
Everyone likes to know the enemy they're dealing with.
Yes.
Like Friday the 13th. Why is Friday the 13th scary? I mean, obviously the guy's killing everybody in horrible ways. I mean, that's scary. But if you saw his face and he was just like, oh, I'm going to come kill you, you'd be like, oh, it's kind of, it's upsetting, but it's not so scary. A hockey mask. When you're watching a hockey game, who's looking at the goalie and like, oh my God, that's so scary. It's scary, but you can't see his face. That's why people are scared. They like to see the enemy. When you can't
so are we saying that it's better to watch Scream where you can just see that scary mask?
What are you talking about?
Scream?
That's a mask too.
Oh, to me, that's a scary mask though. Oh, so your point is there should be no mask. to me, I would argue that the mask in Scream is scarier than whatever the guy's face is.
It doesn't matter if the mask is scary. Is the mask in Halloween, Michael Myers, is that scary? No, it's literally the most basic white. It's literally the shape of a human head, white plastic. There's nothing, that mask shouldn't be scary. The reason it's scary is because it just covers the guy's face. That's it. Human beings get 4 billion bits of information from the slightest eyebrow raise from a human face. Without a human face, they got nothing to go on. It's scary.
Yeah. I find them all scary.
You're all scary.
Yeah.
So, okay. The conclusion we've made here is that you find masks scary regardless of whether they're covering a human face.
Honestly, kind of, yeah. Like in those like bank robbing movies where they just even have like a nylon on their face. I'm like, oh.
I agree though, but my point is why is it scary? Are you scared of stockings?
I think you're making your point.
Okay.
I get it. I get the point you're making.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, good.
So now Zach and Irina have a very interesting conversation. She says on the plane ride, she doesn't... she says she doesn't want to sit together. It's reaching the point with the two of them where it's just hilarious. She says they need their space.
Yeah, our relationship has been too intense.
They agree together that this has been a nightmare. I love this. They finally
agree. Finally, when it's time, when the time has come for her, she got her show time, and now she can move on to the next level. She finally agrees that this sucks.
She says she was more inspired by a 5-minute conversation with Paul than with any conversation she's had with him. I was like, Is this really necessary?
I mean, it's ridiculous.
What I love about Zach is instead of dwelling on that, he's like, okay, let's call it. This isn't going to work out.
Yeah.
He rises above almost every time.
I want to know. This is one of these things where I want to know. I think this has happened in other episodes where I'm confused by the public's opinion of something. What is wrong with Zach?
What's interesting about Zach is that when you talk about the public, I don't actually know because I've been trying to avoid reading people's perceptions because... well, we're behind, right? We're obviously behind. Like the show is further ahead in airing than we are in recapping. So I don't want to be spoiled. But what I'm really getting is that people on the show, like women, namely, have some issue with him that I just cannot understand.
I mean, maybe like there's something about Zach that like when you're around him, like you get a little ick sometimes for some people. Like for me, the biggest problem is his singing. Like that's it. I got an issue with that. But I also am impressed that he's able to just go at it and just do it. Yeah. So kudos to him for that.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. The singing,
the singing is a problem.
As you said last week, it shows a lack of self-awareness that he would sing a whole song.
That's my one clue that there might be something going on.
Yeah.
That he was willing to commit hard to that without irony.
Yeah.
It may be a problem. But other than that, seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
Certainly shows he's not a bad guy.
Yeah. She somehow seems miffed that he's the one now being like, okay, let's call it. This isn't going to work out. It feels like she, in her love of power, wanted to be the one to make that call.
It's been taken away from her. The game is over.
Yeah.
She's no longer able to hold that over him.
Then she weirdly reminisces about feeling like she loved him in the pods. She's a total jerk to him now. He doesn't deserve that. Andy, you said even this rant is self-indulgent.
Yeah, she was robbed of that last little bit of enjoyment.
Yeah. But I gotta say, what ensues here is actually super cute because they transition into being platonic friends like in an instant. Yeah. And while they're brushing their teeth, they're like joking. Yeah. She's like, you should have picked Bliss. And he's like, you should have picked Paul.
Yeah. You could feel the relaxation.
Yes.
It was like this release.
Yes.
It's like, we don't have to do this stupid thing anymore. Yes. We can just, as a matter of fact, I could see them being like funny friends.
I agree.
Like where they're ribbing each other constantly.
Totally.
I actually think they could be friends.
I agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
All right.
I actually like that. This scene was the one moment between the two of them where I was like, finally, this is what you're meant to be.
I would have liked to seen that more. You know what it would have showed is how the show is totally flawed. They should have been right from the beginning. Like, be like, this is stupid. And then just been friends the whole time.
Yeah.
And be like, we're just going to drag this out. Like, I know we're not getting married. Let's just hang out. Let them shoot scenes of us. I don't care. Yeah. But we know both this is not happening.
Yeah.
That would have been more interesting.
And maybe we'll get 1 million followers each.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turn the camera around.
Right. Actually, I would be into that.
Yeah.
If that was successful. Chelsea and Kwame now, they discuss which couples they think will make it. I find it very ironic that Chelsea and Kwame, of all people, are like So, who do you think's gonna make it?
It's like the guy holding the bloody knife. It's like, so who do you think the murderer is?
During this conversation, Andy, you could not get over the body language. So Kwame has his back to the wall and is facing forward with his hands like this.
Yeah.
And she's like leaning up to him. Like her face is like just like up at him. She's totally tilted towards
right
him.
Angle, a perfect right angle.
They're perpendicular.
You could put like literally a protractor on it. That was 90 degrees the whole time. He did everything in his power to keep his hands together. Like his hand was like he was just like anytime the hand could have gone, he was like.
And meanwhile, she was like up, like facing him complete. Her entire body was to him. Like waiting on his every word, gazing at him. It was painful. So now they joke about Irina and Zach because they don't think they're going to last. And she says, I can't stand that dude. No. And then Kwame, I loved this. Kwame says, I like him.
Good for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got the men. Even Kwame, who's like clearly he's the bad guy. But overall, I still like the men better.
I agree.
The gist here is that they need to have each other's backs moving forward, and this wraps with I love yous and pecks. And then we get our cliffhanger ending in Seattle with Bliss meeting Zach at a restaurant. I thought it was cute that he put on a suit for the occasion. I like Zach.
Zach is like one of those puzzle pieces, like you're doing the puzzle and you're just like, what is this piece? Like that actually goes somewhere. And then you're like, oh, it does. There is a place for him.
And you know what? When you do put in that piece,
it's
that's
so satisfying. Yeah, you hear it. It's like that crunch. It's like that. Because there's so many different angles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's the best.
He straight up says, I made the wrong choice. You know it. I know it. And she goes,
cue wrong choice music.
Okay, so that's our cliffhanger.
That's it.
We got to the end of Mexico.
All right, that's better than someone falling asleep as a cliffhanger.
That's true. Okay, Andy. Oh, people wanted predictions.
Okay,
we're gonna
easy.
Please
this is
them
easy
with this. How? I mean, of Brett and Tiffany, we think they're gonna last. I mean, I think our predictions are pretty obvious.
Predictions are really
very basic predictions.
Yeah, Tiffany and Brett, I believe in more than almost any couple I've ever believed in on TV.
I guess what we're predicting is, do they make it down the aisle and like both say yes to each other?
I say yes.
Okay, I agree. Irina and Zach are already done. Micah and Paul, No, I agree. Obviously, Kwame and Chelsea.
I don't know about that.
What?
I have a theory. I know it shouldn't happen. I'm really thrown off right now. I agree. I think at the core of this, Kwame wants to get clout. And I'm going to go really deep on this one. Can I do that? Or do you want me to?
Yeah, but he can still get his clout. And at the very end, at the wedding altar.
No, it's not as much clout. He wants to keep the ball rolling.
Oh, no.
I'm a boxing fan. And I've seen a lot of great boxers quit the sport, whether because they either, they lost their skills or they got old or whatever. They took a really bad beating and they're like, that's enough. What happens a lot of the time is they go to hard drugs. This is a very common thing.
Oh.
Very common. It's sad. But it's not because they're just people who like drugs. It's supposed to get that rush that they experience. They can't find that anywhere. The only place they can find it is with chemicals. And I believe that Kwame, who was a pro soccer player and had this terrible injury, which is tragic. He ended his career as a soccer player. That must have been agonizing. He lost that thing. And he wants that back really badly. And I think that deep down, people are going to disagree with me. He feels like he might be able to get it back with this, and he's willing to sacrifice what he really wants to keep this reality TV ball rolling down the hill or up the hill or rolling straight on a flat level. Sure what's going on there with the ball. But I think he sees that path being forged by him continuing this process at Chelsea.
All right. So I see your point, but I'm going to one-up you on this. I picture him really trying. I think he's going to be tempted by Micah again. And I hope Chelsea holds him accountable and is like, and walks basically. But based on Chelsea's tendency, I think she sort of is a little too optimistic. She sort of assumes that they're further along than they are, and just makes it too easy for him, really. Like she forgave him so quickly. She's like, even when later on he was like, I behaved so badly, she's like, I already forgave you. So I, though, picture him trying to be good for her and her forgiving him along the way as he inevitably makes more mistakes. And then they make it to the altar. And then finally he's like, okay, I'm ready. Like, I'm all in with you. You love me. I love you, blah, blah, blah. And then she's going to be like, I can't marry you.
Ooh,
I can't do this. I know
like
my
that.
worth. I'm a strong woman.
I like that. I don't agree with you, but I like that theory.
Okay.
I like it.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. Finally, I think this is the toughest one. And that's Jackie and Marshall.
Okay, this is what I think.
Do you agree it's the toughest
I
one?
agree, 100%.
Yeah.
That's the wild card.
Yeah.
I think Jackie, despite being wrecked and sore and all the things that she said she was, I think that Marshall is not her type. And I think as love is not blind, that's going to become a problem. And I foresee something going downhill with them. I don't think they make it to the altar. And I think it's a close call. But I think it really comes down to the fact that Jackie likes what she said she likes.
Yeah.
And Marshall is not that. He's close enough. He's a nice guy. He seems great in a lot of ways. He's got great eyes. He wrecks her. I mean, does a good wrecking, which is always important.
What's the song?
Wrecking Ball?
Yeah. How does it go?
Oh, is that Katy Perry?
No, it's Miley Cyrus.
Oh.
Da, 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 wrecking
ball.
That's all I know.
Wrecking ball. Wrecking ball.
Okay, this one's really tough because I can really see it going either way. But I'm going to go with what I hope happens, which at this point, I hope they don't end up together because I do think that there's too much of a power imbalance.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't really love that. I don't love seeing that go into like full-blown wedding
Yeah.
mode.
Yeah.
And of course, we have many more episodes for my mind to be changed. But at this point, I hope they don't end up together. And therefore, I predict they don't end up together.
Okay, I'm with you.
That's my safe answer.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a wrap, Andy.
That is?
This is fun.
Yeah.
It's
I don't
getting more
mind this.
fun.
Its show is getting better.
Yeah, people were right.
They were right. You were right.
You were right. You told us so.
You told us so.
Yeah, I have to admit, even when we started watching episode 4, we were like, okay, like I'm excited. And now to get to the next episode, like in Seattle, them just living together, I'm like, I'm ready.
Well, you know why this is fun? Is because it's more real. The premise is, I think, a little off.
Oh, it's
kind of ridiculous. But this is more real than The Bachelor. There's no question.
100%.
This is like life, and it's good to watch real life. That's what reality TV should be.
It still feels a different, in my opinion. Like I still like them. I wouldn't say I prefer this to The Bachelor. I know people
No,
be
I don't
shocked to
prefer
hear
it.
that maybe, but they do different things. Like
It's
this
different.
feels more like hidden camera. Kind of like I do like that it's less tinkered with. It feels less tinkered with.
This is like it's like two. I want to say good restaurants, but I don't know if it's two like decent restaurants.
Okay.
And The Bachelor is like new American. It's like that standard. It's like American fare. It's like
Yeah.
you're not going to be surprised, but it's good.
Yeah, it's going to
It's good.
satisfy your
you're
craving.
gonna leave like that was good.
Yeah.
It's a good meal. I like that.
Uh-huh.
And this is like spicy. This is like Korean food. Like you go to the Korean barbecue and your like mouth's on fire.
Yeah.
But it's not a great Korean restaurant. It's like a decent Korean
Yeah,
restaurant.
it just has really bold flavor. There's a lot of salt, a lot of fat, and there's a lot to like take
Yeah.
in and taste. But you're not necessarily like, this is a better restaurant.
No, it's not better, but it's the same level experience. It's just like one is all about more like impact.
Yeah.
And one is about just like, what you're getting and you're going to be perfectly fine when you leave.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right.
Good analogy, Andy.
Yeah.
I liked it.
It was all right.
That's all that matters,
You're
is
my
that I
wife.
like it.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And a few of the other people.
If you enjoyed what you heard today, you know what we will ask of you, and that is to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on Instagram, and
TikTok.
leave us Apple and
Spotify.
podcast ratings and reviews. Tell your friends, and generally do all the things you would do to support a podcast you enjoy. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Dear Shandy. Bye-bye.
Dear Shandy.